So it was the late American statesman Benjamin Franklin who said, "Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." As of today, World Sleep Day is being commemorated, and studies have shown that people are not sleeping enough. This in turn affects their productivity and potentially also makes the work environment quite dangerous, and I mean that literally. So to talk to us about the importance of sleep in maintaining a safe working environment, let's bring in medical practitioner Dr. Dave Kaplan, who's with us via our video link this morning. And Doc, it's great to see you. Thanks as always for making time to speak to us here on the AM Report. Sleep is something that is very close to my heart, and I'm sure I speak for the entire AM Report team when you consider our working hours. But as a start, does science and medicine give any kind of justification around why taking naps are actually important?
Of course, because a healthy mind in a healthy body, and you can have a healthy body if you have enough sleep. There's lots and lots of studies that show that not having enough sleep makes your physical and mental health not as good as it could be. And we all have had an all-nighter, and when we come to work in the morning, work is very difficult, and you're not on your best performance, and there's nobody who doesn't know that feeling, so it's most important to have sleep. Yeah. However, there are a lot of people around today, perhaps more the younger generation, who party hard, burn the candle at both ends, and sometimes think they don't really need so much sleep. But the sleep is very important, because when you don't have enough sleep, you start having problems with your health.
Yeah, and you'll speak up to us about that in just a moment. I'm hoping to gauge, though, your thoughts around what enough sleep actually means, right? Because, frankly, you and I, for instance, atomically not only look different, but are very different. And so I imagine our bodies would need sleep in different ways. How do I ascertain what the right amount of sleep for me actually is?
Well, if you're a child needs more sleep. I think also because they run around far harder than grown-ups do. So a child probably needs between 8 and 10 hours a night of sleep, whereas as we get older, we need less sleep, but we still need several hours. To have 2 hours a night of sleep is not what I'm talking about. I would say a minimum, if you perhaps in your 30s to 40s, of about 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night.
8?
And that must be good sleep.
With what time, Doc? We're going to get 9 hours of sleep. Like, which productive individual, dare I say, at the risk of backlash, has time for 9 hours of sleep? Is this something that, okay, in your line of practice, is this something that people are actually willing to pull off, or able to pull off, I should ask?
Well, it's most difficult, but I think for a start, all electronics should be switched off at a very early time in the night, perhaps 7, 8 o'clock. I know that's very difficult, but the electronics on our brain and the brain waves really cause a lot of difficulty, and therefore you just want to be getting into a quieter space, perhaps, that your brain is not so active. Perhaps just watching a movie, listening to some music, reading a book would be much better than continually scrolling on our phones and talking.
Right. Of course, there are many people giving advice about how you should be sleeping, and so let me get your take on this. Is it better to have multiple naps throughout a 24-hour period to make up those 9 hours, or should those 9 hours rather be compressed in one long bout of sleep, and obviously you work the remaining hours that are left?
Well, there was an old adage that said once upon a time that the hours before midnight that you sleep are very important. Of course, a nap is very important too. And with a lot of people now working at home, it's probably easier to have a quick nap, and no one will pick up that you're sleeping. Of course, in the workspace, I don't think your boss would enjoy seeing someone having a nap. But if you had to just say, I'm going to have a quick half an hour sleep or something, like what happens at the hospital sometimes, any busy doctor knows that he has gone to his nursing sister of the ward and said, I'm too tired, I'm just going to have a half an hour sleep. And then they feel refreshed from that. So that's very important. And I guess it comes to the point of how do you engage with your human relations officer at work.
And do those actually work? And I'm asking this at a deeper level. I mean, those 30-minute quick naps, are they good for your body? Because what I found in my experience is if I happen to have napped during the day and I have to wake up in the middle of that nap, I actually feel worse than had I had stayed up. Or perhaps it's just a psychological thing that I need to deal with.
I think it's probably different for different people.
Right.
But I think it's also, you could get, the more you try to have a nap, the more practice you would be. Perhaps what might be better than just a nap is some quiet meditation. And sometimes you only need even 5 minutes of meditation, just to still your mind down. Our brains are full of a lot of clutter, a lot of thinking, a lot of words all the time. And it's sometimes just easier to learn how to do some breathing meditation. Just going to YouTube, putting into the search of YouTube, breathing meditation will give you many, many videos on how to meditate for 5 minutes to restore your brain to have a rest during the day.
Yeah. Of course, there are also different types of sleep. Often people speak about deep sleep and light sleeping, for instance. I don't know if we're even in control of that, but perhaps get us through what we should know about that and which of these kinds of sleep is important.
Well, deep sleep is where your body restores its vital functions. And if we don't have deep sleep, for example, if you are worried about things going on in your life, you're worried about finances, you're worried about your relationship, you're worried about your job, etc., it's going to be a lot harder to have a deep sleep. And that's why I think that it's very important that people start learning techniques to calm down their minds and calm down their brains so that they can give their brains some little bit of peace in a very, very hectic working day. It's very important. There are very few people who can just close their eyes and then just go to sleep. But the more you practice at it, the better it gets, and the more you do it, the better it gets. So it's very important that we do that. But then you've got to cut out all your caffeines, for example. Drinking coffee at night, not a very good idea. Drinking alcohol at night, too late. I know they always say have a nightcap, but alcohol does affect your brain waves, and therefore do not have alcohol too late in a night when you're going to need to wake up early. It's a much better idea. We've all woken up sometimes after a hard night's partying when we were younger, but it's very important to understand that the sleep is terribly necessary for us.
Yeah. My parting shot to you, Doc. Say, for one, we know that humans are not nocturnal beings. I mean, our bodies are wired to work when there's light, and most of the time that's natural light from the sun. So say you work for a particular, morning television show. Most of the time you have to be up deep into the night to make it for work. What are some of the things that you should keep in mind to ensure that at least you're living a healthy life whilst not being able to get enough sleep at night, which is what I think we're built for naturally?
Well, the simplest thing, I think, is to get a mask that is a black mask that completely shuts out the light, and even possibly some earplugs so that during the day when there's hooting and everything, that your ears can be quiet, you don't hear much going on, and to simulate what's going on during the day because you're wearing your black mask, you won't get light. Light implies daylight, and your body's got a circadian rhythm that works through the hypothalamus. If you can now fool yourself that during the day when everything is light, that it is dark, then you can get around that and you can get into a routine that makes you wake up early in the morning. You only have to speak to any policeman who's done an all-nighter, or nursing sisters or nursing aides who work all night on a daily basis, and you will see that's the only way you can get around not sleeping during the night. You have to sleep during the day.
Oh, I thought you were going to say my boss should give me more leave days, but it was worth a try. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Really do appreciate it. Dr. Dave Kaplan, a medical practitioner, helping us consider the importance of sleep.